Right, gang, welcome back to another mistakes I've made or lessons I've learned. Today, I'm going to talk about coping mechanisms and I suppose why I think they're important or why it's tweaked for me that this is a mistake I've made in the past. I've always found that being aware of your coping mechanisms, or at least now being aware of your coping mechanisms, actually helps me to kind of check in with myself from like a mental health perspective, but then also from accountability perspective. What I mean by that is I always find that when I end up kind of doing my coping mechanisms more, when I start leaning on them more, 9 times out of 10 is purely because I'm either burnt out or I'm feeling not good enough. And I think those are the two main things that come about, or whatever the feeling is for you, which pushes you to distract yourself, whether it's, oh, this is going to be too hard, or I'm not good enough at this, or it's not worth it. There's these moments where we go to do something or a task seems too difficult. So what we decide to do is we basically look to our coping mechanisms to distract us and make us feel better. And that's one of the things that I've learned recently, is that everyone has different coping mechanisms. And if you take them to the extreme, right? If you're taking a coping mechanism to the extreme, then it becomes an addiction. Because the coping mechanism to some degree, like, or running the cycle of addiction, which is kind of bad feeling, then distraction, then guilt because of what you've done, and then kind of the kind of ramifications of whatever's happened, and then you feel bad again. So then the addiction cycle starts again. And there's some degree of the same with coping mechanisms of, well, what is it that's making me want that coping mechanism, or why should I be aware of it? And I think you need to be aware of them. And coping mechanisms, I suppose, look like a couple of different things. Coping mechanisms could look like something you enjoy doing, a hobby, or something which is more like mindless scrolling on your phone, or binging a show, or binging food, or the opposite, like not wanting to eat and kind of making, like, not eating any food at all, or going on to any other of the type of like eating disorders. And being aware of them gives you the ability to stop it to some degree. Now, I don't know if you will ever be able to stop it forever and ever, but I think you'll be able to reduce the amount of time it takes you to realize that you're doing something that you don't want to do. So if, for example, I have found that like a coping mechanism of mine is just like playing my PlayStation. And it seems like such a small one, and it seems like, oh, you should be able to do that. And I definitely feel like I'm allowed to do it. I'm an adult. It's absolutely fine to do that. It's just the amount and the times that I do it, that is the problem that I want to become aware of. The times that I end up trying to play my PlayStation is normally when I am, like I said previously, burnt out, or I am struggling with something work-wise. If I'm, and to be fair, struggling with something work-wise normally leads me to burning out. When I have a hard task in front of me and I'm struggling to do it, or I'm struggling to complete it, or I'm struggling to get past this stage, or I'm feeling like what I am doing isn't right, or that I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm not good enough, and it all links back to that same feeling. And that's something to be aware of, is that normally the cause or the action in the day, the thing that you're feeling right now, or the task which has led you to your coping mechanism, has probably led you to a feeling and then your coping mechanism. So it's kind of like trying to piece it, or like take the back, like retrace your steps as to how you got to this coping mechanism. So again, if I'm stressed with work and I'm doing a task and it feels like I don't know what I'm doing, I will then get the feeling of not feeling good enough. And then I'll be like, I need to step away from this because I'm getting burnt out by it, because I'm pretty anxious and I'm pretty worried and I'm stressed that because I don't know what I'm doing. So like the way I talk about it is like, if you think about your comfort zone, and when you're in your comfort zone or slightly outside of your comfort zone, you're okay with stuff like that. But as soon as you then take a step too far out of your comfort zone, I'm way over here in no man's land. I actually have no idea what's going on. And when it's like that, that's when I feel like we get overstressed and we get overwhelmed, and that's when it's almost crippling level of anxiety, because we actually don't know what to do. So when I get into those states, that's when I'm like, I need to return to my comfort zone and return to the things I know. And 9 times out of 10 is returning to something which makes me feel better. Because it's like, if I'm outside of my comfort zone, then I'm not going to be feeling good or feeling like I know what I'm doing. So I'm going to get these negative feelings. So I want to counter that with some positive feeling. And then positive feeling will normally come from a coping mechanism, or it will at least come from something which makes me feel better because I have the control over that thing. So, or it's something that I've always done and it's made me feel better in the past, but right now, me doing it is actually causing me more pain. The pain and pleasure kind of relationship is quite interesting in the fact that something that once gave you pleasure, done to the extreme, will then start to give you pain. And this is why, for me, coping mechanisms have been something which I have tweaked, or at least I've learned about, and I'm starting to understand more. And that is that learning that I have these coping mechanisms and understanding when I use them and why I use them. So again, stressed, feeling not good enough, need a coping mechanism to make me feel better because I've got these bad feelings. Knowing that cycle allows me to just break the loop and to put another step in there, which is like, what is going on? Because I know then, like, and this is why identifying the cope mechanism first can actually help you to identify what's going on. So like, I've linked it all together. I understand now that I go to these cope mechanisms for X, Y, Z. Like, it could be any reason which drives you to the coping mechanism. But if you can start to figure out your coping mechanism, you can put a stop in place before it happens, or at least while you're doing it, to then go, actually, why am I doing this? Is there something else going on that I can change? So the way I would do it, and the way I would get like my past self to do it, and the way I kind of figured this out, was to write down basically the things that like I want to do that makes me feel better. Whether it's going to the gym, whether it's like eating out, because that sometimes will make me feel better, whether it's drinking a beer for someone, whether it could be going on a walk, for example, whether it could be playing your PlayStation, like it could be any different thing. You may have any of these coping mechanisms, but for me, it was like writing down, like, right, which are the ones that I end up doing quite a lot. And for me, it is as simple as scrolling on my phone. I find that if I'm doing that a lot, it's probably because I'm distracting. And then it comes down to just like wanting to, like, the pull to do nothing. And then alongside that, the pull to play my PlayStation. Because the pull to do nothing is basically the task I'm doing right now is kind of outside of my comfort zone and I don't feel like I can do it. So I need to change that, or change this coping mechanism by doing something else. So I basically went through all of those things. Was like, right, I end up doing these things when I'm not feeling very good. And I kind of call them like Wellbeing Green Flags, Wellbeing Red Flags. What are the things I do when I know my well-being's good? What are the things I do when my well-being's bad? And I basically listed off these things, and it was like, right, if I can be aware of these well-being red flags, I know I'm starting to feel bad, I know something's going on, and I need to check back in as to why. Is it because I'm burnt out? If I am burnt out, why am I burnt out? And then can I take a step back into the right direction? Learning that allows you to just quicker and quicker identify the cycle as to what's going on, and then be able to get you to the root cause. Now that I know that I have these different red flags that go off when I want to play my PlayStation, or I'm got a busy day of work and I'm like, I literally want to do nothing. Then I'm like, okay, so I'm starting to feel a bit stressed. I'm starting to feel a bit burnt out. What is stressful and what's burning me out? Right, it's because I feel like I don't know what I'm doing, and it feels like all I've been doing is working, or I feel like I haven't had the time to reset myself and get my energy back. What do I need? And then it's a case of going, is it the fact that I need more rest and I actually need some time to chill out and play my PlayStation? Because that is the option. That the coping mechanism is there for a reason. It helps you chill out, it helps you relax. Or am I using this because the task I've got in front of me feels too monumental and I don't feel like I can do it? And if that's the case, then I need to check back in as to, well, what can I do? Is there something small within this task that I can do? Can I just start? Because I feel like a lot of the time when it comes up for me, is me thinking about a task I need to do rather than actually doing that task. Like, when I get into it and I'm a couple of steps in, I find that actually it gets quite easy, and then I'm on a roll and I'll keep going for a couple of hours. So potentially it's the worry and the anxiety, and identifying why I'm feeling those things will help me. So list out your well-being green flags would be where I would start, which are, what are the things that I do and want to do that make sure my well-being's good, that keep me positive, that keep my energy high, that make me feel good with my mental health. And then red flags. What are the things I know I do that if I start to see a lot more red flags than green flags, does this mean that, like, or can I change something? Because I'm obviously quite stressed now. So is there something I can adjust? Is there something I can change to make sure that I'm not feeling this bad? So those are the things that, like, I would look out for. Is what are those red flags? What are the things that you do that you do because you're feeling bad, scrolling on your phone, like whatever yours is, because, like, to some degree could be smoking, could be drinking, could be any other addictions. So what is it? Thank you for watching. My name's Charlie. This is How to Help the Mind. These are mistakes I've made and lessons I've learned. These are just a weekly vlog for me, or a bi-weekly vlog whenever these come out, of just things that I'm thinking about right now and things I'm going through. Way more conversational, no edits, no fancy cuts, no anything like that. This is just purely my thought process, and I'm using this as a bit of a log for myself, so I can look back through and see what I'm going through at the times and what I actually did to change them, because I almost already forgot about the Wellbeing Red Flags, and that was delivered on a Wellbeing talk not too long ago. So this is why I'm doing it, just to remind myself and have a log to look back on. If you did enjoy it, drop me a subscribe, that'd be grand. Share this with a friend who might be dealing with something, or uses coping mechanisms quite often. Maybe they've got a little addiction. I say a little addiction. I don't think any addictions would be little, but maybe they've got an addiction that they're dealing with and they're not identifying it. And hopefully this video can help them to identify what theirs are and hopefully give them a way out of it. But thank you for watching. My name's Charlie. This is How to Mind. We will see you on the next one.